Today we are talking about a situation that continues to shape daily life, politics, and international concern in the Middle East, the ongoing communications blackout in Iran. This is not just a technical issue or a temporary inconvenience. It is a powerful tool that affects millions of people, reshapes protests, controls narratives, and sends a clear message about authority, fear, and control. To understand why the communications blackout matters so much, we first need to understand what it actually means in practice. A communications blackout is not simply slow internet or poor mobile signals. It often involves deliberate restrictions on mobile networks, social media platforms, messaging apps, and sometimes even basic access to the global internet. In Iran, this has meant that people suddenly find themselves unable to send messages, upload videos, make calls, or access information beyond state-controlled media. For ordinary Iranians, communication is not a luxury. It is how families check on each other, how businesses operate, how students study, and how communities organize daily life. When these channels are cut, the impact is immediate and deeply personal. Parents worry because they cannot reach their children. Workers cannot confirm shifts or payments. Small online businesses lose customers overnight. Students are cut off from digital learning resources. Life slows down, but stress and uncertainty increase. The blackout also has a psychological effect. When people cannot communicate freely, they often feel isolated and trapped. Rumors spread faster because verified information becomes harder to access. Fear grows because people do not know what is happening in other cities or even in nearby neighborhoods. This isolation can be just as powerful as physical force, because it weakens collective confidence and makes individuals feel alone. In Iran, communications blackouts are closely linked to periods of unrest, protests, or political tension. When demonstrations grow, authorities often move quickly to restrict internet access. This is not accidental. Social media and messaging platforms allow people to organize protests, share locations, warn each other about danger, and document events in real time. Cutting communication disrupts coordination and limits the ability of protesters to act together. Another critical reason for the blackout is control over the narrative. In the digital age, images and videos can travel across the world in seconds. A single clip can spark international outrage or challenge official statements. By restricting internet access, authorities reduce the flow of independent information and limit what reaches the outside world. This allows state media to dominate the narrative, presenting events in a way that supports official positions. Inside Iran, state television and approved news outlets continue to operate during blackouts. This creates a one-sided information environment. People may hear official explanations, but they cannot easily verify them or compare them with other perspectives. Over time, this can erode trust, as citizens sense that information is being filtered or manipulated. The communications blackout also affects journalists and human rights organizations. Independent reporters inside the country struggle to file stories, send photos, or confirm details. International journalists face even greater challenges, as they rely heavily on digital communication with sources on the ground. Human rights groups monitoring arrests, injuries, or deaths find it difficult to collect evidence or verify claims. This lack of information can delay international responses and reduce accountability. From a technical standpoint, Iran has spent years building the infrastructure needed to control its digital space. The country has developed a national information network that allows domestic services to function even when international connections are restricted. This means that certain local websites and government platforms may still work, while global platforms like Instagram, WhatsApp, or Telegram become inaccessible or unstable. This system gives authorities a powerful lever. They can selectively allow or block services depending on the situation. For example, they might slow down mobile data while keeping some wired connections active, or restrict social media while allowing banking services to continue. This targeted approach makes the blackout more sustainable over long periods and reduces economic disruption to critical sectors. However, even targeted restrictions have serious economic consequences. Iran has a large informal digital economy, with countless small businesses relying on social media to sell products, advertise services, and communicate with customers.
When platforms go offline, these businesses lose income instantly. For many families already struggling with inflation and sanctions, this loss can be devastating. The blackout also affects Iran's relationship with the global economy.
International companies operating in or with Iran face disruptions in communication, payments, and logistics.
This increases uncertainty and discourages investment.
Over time, repeated shutdowns can damage Iran's reputation as a reliable place to do business, further isolating the country economically.
One important aspect of the communications blackout is how people try to adapt.
Iranians have become highly skilled at finding workarounds. Virtual private networks, proxy servers, and alternative messaging apps are widely used.
When one tool is blocked, another quickly gains popularity.
This constant cat-and-mouse game shows both the determination of users to stay connected and the state's ongoing efforts to regain control. But these workarounds are not perfect.
VPNs can be slow, unstable, or expensive. Some are unsafe and expose users to surveillance or scams. During severe blackouts, even VPNs may fail because the underlying network is restricted.
This means that while some people manage to stay online, many others are completely cut off.
The blackout also highlights generational differences.
Younger Iranians, who have grown up with smartphones and social media, often feel the impact more sharply.
Their social lives, activism, and even identities are closely tied to digital spaces.
Older generations may rely more on traditional communication methods, but they still feel the effects through disrupted services and worried family members. International reactions to Iran's communications blackout are often critical. Governments, technology companies, and human rights organizations regularly call on Iranian authorities to restore internet access and respect digital rights. Statements emphasize that access to information and communication is a fundamental human right, especially during times of crisis. Some countries and organizations have tried to provide technical assistance to help Iranians bypass restrictions. This includes support for secure communication tools and satellite-based services.
However, these efforts face legal, technical, and political challenges.
Authorities may criminalize the use of certain tools, putting users at risk of arrest or punishment.
The blackout also raises broader questions about the future of the internet. Iran is not the only country to restrict access during unrest.
Similar measures have been used in other parts of the world. This trend worries digital rights advocates, who fear a future where governments increasingly fragment the internet into controlled national spaces. In Iran's case, the blackout is part of a larger strategy of digital sovereignty. Authorities argue that controlling the internet protects national security, cultural values, and social stability. Critics counter that these measures suppress dissent, limit freedom of expression, and isolate citizens from the global community.
For people inside Iran, the debate is not abstract.
It is lived every day through missed messages, silent phones, and unanswered calls. When communication is cut, people feel the absence immediately. The silence itself becomes a form of pressure, reminding citizens of how dependent modern life is on digital connections. The communications blackout also affects emergency situations.
During protests or unrest, access to emergency services can be disrupted.
People may struggle to call for medical help, report fires, or reach authorities in genuine emergencies. This adds a layer of risk that goes beyond politics and directly threatens public safety.
Education is another major area of impact.
Many Iranian students rely on online resources, virtual classrooms, and international academic materials.
When internet access is restricted, learning is interrupted. Exams may be postponed, coursework delayed, and opportunities lost. Over time, this can affect an entire generation's educational outcomes. Cultural expression also suffers. Artists, musicians, writers, and filmmakers use digital platforms to share their work and connect with audiences.
During blackouts, these creative voices are silenced or confined to local circles. This limits cultural exchange and reduces the visibility of Iranian art on the global stage. The emotional toll of the blackout should not be underestimated. Constant uncertainty about when access will return creates stress and anxiety. People check their phones repeatedly, hoping for a signal. Each failed attempt reinforces a sense of powerlessness. Over time, this can contribute to burnout and emotional exhaustion. Families with members abroad feel the impact especially strongly. For many Iranians, the internet is the primary way to stay in touch with relatives living overseas. During blackouts, these connections are severed. Loved ones abroad worry about safety, while those inside feel cut off from support and reassurance. Despite all this, resistance continues in subtle and creative ways. People share information through word of mouth, offline networks, and physical gatherings. They find ways to document events using stored videos and photos, uploading them later when access returns. This persistence shows that while communication can be restricted, it cannot be completely erased. When the blackout eventually eases, there is often a surge of activity. Messages flood in, videos are uploaded, and stories emerge. This delayed release of information can reignite attention and scrutiny, both domestically and internationally. In this way, the blackout may slow information flow, but it does not always prevent it. Looking ahead, the continued use of communications blackouts in Iran raises serious questions about trust between the state and society. Each shutdown deepens skepticism and resentment. People learn that access can be taken away at any moment, which changes how they plan their lives and businesses. It also pushes more people toward alternative technologies and decentralized platforms. Over time, this could reshape Iran's digital landscape in unpredictable ways. Efforts to control may inadvertently encourage innovation and resistance, creating new challenges for authorities. On the global stage, Iran's blackout contributes to ongoing debates about sanctions, diplomacy, and human rights. Some argue that international pressure should focus more on digital freedoms. Others worry that external involvement could make the situation worse by reinforcing narratives of foreign interference. What remains clear is that communication is power. The ability to speak, share, and connect shapes how societies function and how people understand their world. In Iran, the continued communications blackout is a reminder of how fragile these connections can be when they depend on centralized control. As this situation evolves, the human stories behind the headlines deserve attention. Beyond politics and strategy, there are millions of individuals trying to live their lives under conditions of uncertainty and silence. Their resilience, frustration, and determination are central to understanding what the blackout truly means. In the end, the communications blackout in Iran is not just about internet cables and mobile towers. It is about voice, visibility, and the struggle over who gets to define reality. As long as access remains restricted, that struggle will continue, shaping Iran's present and its future in profound ways.